Hi there everybody, it's UK independent demonstrator Halsey here from slimandstylish.com. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm playing with our new stamp set, Ornate Style. I saw this come out probably about a month and a half ago for demonstrators, and it came out for customers from the beginning of the month. And I fell in love with it. I couldn't wait to get my blends on it, which is exactly what I have done with this card here. So I have just stamped and blended, and I'm going to show you how I put this together. For the hello, I used Good Morning Magnolia, and I used their hello from there because I like that one. There is a sentiment set that does come in the Ornate suite in the new catalogue, and you get the Ornate thanks. I like this, but it didn't have just a hello in, and these are quite big. And these are little tails that go with it. So, for instance, you've got on here, thank you, from the bottom of my heart. You know, they all tie together. So I just wanted a hello, a little simple one, because I didn't want to go over where the blending was. So I did use the Good Morning Magnolia set. Let me show you how to put this together and how I made it. So to start off with, I'll get it all out. I normally put everything on the blocks, but I didn't with this one because this is quite a big stamp. So you can use your Stamparatus for it, or if you do have our e-block, it does just fit like that. Just. And it all gets on the side. The reason why I wanted to show that is because when I looked at it, I thought that won't fit on my block. So I've been using my Stamparatus repeatedly with it, and then realised today that it does fit on the block, and I feel quite happy that I found this out. So there we go. I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 9.5 centimetres by 13.8 centimetres. And I'm just going to grab some scrap grid paper for this, because if you know me, while I'm filming, I don't really like to have dirty grid paper. I think if you're looking at a grid paper that's got all inked blotches on, I think it's sometimes a bit distracting. So I use scrap if I'm going to go off the sheet of paper, and then move the scrap off and it's back onto a clean sheet. I'm just going to ink this up with my Memento. If you're colouring with your blends, Memento is the best ink to use. If you're colouring with your watercolour pencils or your Stampin' Write markers, then StazOn is quite a good ink to use. So with this one, it's a landscape card, and I'm just going to keep stamping this stamp all over it. So I did it 4 times before. I'm going to try for the same sort of thing, but you just want to fill the card with the stamp set. If you are a Stamparatus fan, or you have a Stamparatus, it's much better for a bigger stamp set to use it. That way, if you don't get quite the pressure in the middle, you can come back over. But I was quite glad when I found that it sat on my block. I think it's just ease. I keep my Stamparatus in its Stamparatus bag up. I've got a shelving unit above the desk. So whenever I want to play with it, I have to fish around up there to get it out. And even though I love it, it just feels by the time I've gone to all the effort, I feel a bit exhausted by it. So I do like it when it fits onto a block, because the blocks just sit on my windowsill and I can just grab them and go. Right. So I'm just sort of eyeballing that fits over the top, because I don't want it to overlap. There we go. I got 4 on before, so I am going to just try for that corner, but I think this one, yes, this one is just a slight bit over, I think, and perhaps, I don't know, but I haven't lined it up quite as I did before. But it doesn't really matter, because you are just colouring it, making your own DSP. That's the idea. So wherever it goes and fits nicely, do. There we are. Quite happy with that. Right, so my stamping blends that I have the light and dark mango medley. Those are for these daisy type flowers. If you are a garden or florist enthusiast, you'll know these flowers. I am not. I kill anything. Honestly, I'm the least green-fingered person you would know. Light and dark flirty flamingo for these flowers. I've got the light and dark pumpkin pie for these ones. I have got light and dark shaded spruce for the leaves. I know these are leaves. That is the extent of my knowledge going there. And then I have the soft suede, the light one, and that is for the inside of the flowers to just do the little dots. I'm going to speed you up, put your bit of music on while I do the colouring, and then I'll join you back here in a few minutes. Okay, let's get going. Actually, before I put the music on, I will explain to you what I'm actually doing with each colour. That might help actually. So with the light and dark shaded spruce, I'm playing with each flower. I'm going over the lines that Stampin' Up give us, and then I am just creating just a little bit of shadow on the inside of each leaf as well. And then I'll go over it with the light. I'm using the bullet tip purely because this is quite a intricate stamp set, and there's not much gap between the edge of the one leaf and the start of a new flower. So before I use the big brush tip and get into a mess, I'm just going to use the bullet. It's a bit easier to control. And then once I've coloured the whole thing, I'm just going over the centrepiece to spread the dark ink, but also to blend it all in and to give it just that extra bit of shade. Okay, so that's what the leaf will look like, and I'm going to do all the leaves the same. Then for these flowers with the flirty flamingo, I'm going to use the dark, and where Stampin' Up have given us these lines, I'm just going to go over the top of each of the line. So wherever the shaded bit is, I'm going to go over those. So it's like that. Again, using the bullet tip. And then I'm going to use the light one, again on the bullet tip, and go over the whole thing. Now I'm not going to worry too much about blending these. I'm going to go over the whole leaf, including the dark bit, but I'm not going to blend it too much because I do want to have that light and dark contrast on these ones. So let's just and there we go. So that's how those will look. The daisies, that's light and dark. Well, I say they're daisies. I thought they were daisies, but now I've coloured them yellow. I'm not sure they are, because daisies are decent in the grass. Someone on YouTube will tell me what the flowers are. Someone did it the other day. I had put up a picture and someone commented and said, oh, it's made it sound like, oh, it was fruit. I didn't know what one of the fruit was on one of the sets. And I said, well, I know it's fruit, but I guessed and coloured it in on one of the colours. And someone messaged and they said, looks lovely, but just let you know it's this and it should be this colour. And I was like, oh, that's great. And then you know for next time when you're colouring it. So I'm very unknowledgeable on these things. So that on there, which I'm still going to call a daisy, I've done exactly the same as what I've done here, where I've gone over the dark bits, but I've just blended it a little bit more. Okay, and then finally with the pumpkin pie, and this is the ones I really like doing because I think they're cheeky, are these little ones. And I'm just going to go over the shaded bits like I have on the others, like that, with the dark. With the light, I'm going to go over the whole flower. I'm going to leave the dark very dark, so you can definitely see the difference. It's not one of my typical blends where I'm going to keep playing over it. On all of these, I'm liking the difference between the light and dark being shown. And then for the middle bits of this, I've used Mango Medley so that it looks like that. Very cheeky. Okay, so I'm going to carry on colouring round, and I will put the music on and speed it up so you don't have to sit through me going through all of the colours, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so how many of you were screaming at me for two reasons? Firstly, because I missed a little leaf. And secondly, because over here, that is actually one of my daisy things, which while I was colouring, actually, I made a mental note to tell you all that I know it's a gerbera. I remember gerbera as being big daisies. So I feel quite clever. I feel like even though I've coloured it the wrong colour, I've redeemed myself by calling it a gerbera. Yay! So no one can really tell or see, so I'm going to leave it with Flirty Flamingo. And then what I'm going to do for the rest of it is I'm going to grab my Petal Pink blend, and this is the light Petal Pink, and I'm going to colour all of the background. Before I do, actually, what I did on all of them is these bits here in between, which I know don't have any purpose, they are really the background colour. I actually coloured them green so it looked like they were sitting on more leaves, and I just did the light shaded spruce. So I'm just going to quickly do that before I do the background, and then I'm going to colour the background in with a Petal Pink. But yeah, as I was going along, I thought to myself, I remember this, they're called a gerbera because I used to have a picture of a big purple one in my kitchen at my old flat. But my memory is terrible. Honestly, my memory is like the worst thing ever. I never used to be, actually. It used to be quite good. Now it's terrible. So, anyway, I thought about that halfway through. So, Petal Pink. And I'm just really going quickly with the brush tip with this through all the colours just to create a different colour on the background. I did try it with the white and try to put the white onto the card, but for me it just looked really stark on the petal pink card. It might have looked nice if I'd have put it on a white background card, but I wasn't. I was putting it on petal pink. I have, and don't even ask me how, a load of petal pink scored background cards. We did them in one of my WI classes, 3 months ago perhaps, and I counted them out, cut them, scored them, and had enough for everybody. I also include some spares though, because you know, sometimes accidents happen, different things go wrong, so I like to have some spares so that no one's ever disappointed that they can't, you know, pick up if they've made a mistake. But I seem to come home with about 30 spare bases, and considering my spares are normally about 2 or 3, I had no idea what I did. So I didn't know whether I'd had a blonde moment and actually counted the amount of A4 sheets I needed, and then of course when I made them into card bases it doubled them, or whether I don't know what I did, but I came home with loads of them, so I am trying to use them all up. Hence the reason I've used one of those, because normally I do use my thick Whisper White. So here they are. I actually cut them the other way as well. Normally when I have a piece of A4 paper, I cut it that way and score it as a 10th fold. With these ones I cut it so it's A5 and then scored it so it's going to make a notelet card this way. Which is perfect for when you're standing them up that way. I prefer, if I'm doing a landscape card, for it to be like that, and the ones I was doing with the WI were. But I just still don't know how I got so many left of them. So I'm just going to stick this one flat onto the card. So I'm just going to use my Tombow. So isn't that pretty? Some people, when they're using the blends for the first time, don't realise that it does bleed through. It doesn't bleed too much unless you keep going over a colour, and then it will bleed through. So always try and have a sheet of paper or a mat underneath. Don't do it directly onto a tablecloth or a polished table, in case you do go through and then you'll be upset that you've marked it underneath. And if you're ever crafting, this grid paper actually, this isn't just for demos. You can pick this up yourself from my store, and I think it's under £10, £9 something possibly, and you get 100 sheets of it. I mean, I've been a demonstrator now 3 years, and this is the same pack, so it lasts for ages, but it does protect your surfaces. So this is the Hello from Good Morning Magnolia, and I've just got a scrap piece of Whisper White. I'm going to stamp that quite close to the top, and this is the tag punch, and I'm going to, I don't know if you can see, I'm not putting it all the way in. I'm going to this corner and this corner with the top, making sure the hello's in the middle, but only go into those corners. Spending more time checking this in the corners than checking the hellos in the middle there. If that's fiddly, you can of course chop the whole thing and then cut it across with scissors, or use your little guillotine or your trimmer, up to you. I just did that from the start, and then I've done exactly the same petal pink straight over it. Now you could have stamped this directly onto the petal pink and coloured it, but I think the light petal pink is just that sort of shade under, so I quite like it being blended entirely in petal pink, but it's really up to you. I would also recommend that once you've stamped it with your memento, just to wait, not long, just a couple of seconds before going over it with your blend and not doing what I've done. It's the difference between getting a little bit of a different colour straight afterwards, so it's just smudged a little bit, and it being crystal clear like that. And then a couple of dimensionals. And pop that onto the card. I've put it so it sits flush at the top, over the top of this one. It's up to you where you want to put it. You can put it at the edge. That's where I wanted it. Okay, and that's my card. I haven't popped any ribbon or dimensionals or anything fancy on because I felt like we've done so much blending and it pops as it is that I didn't really want to ruin it any further. I hope you've liked it. Any of the stuff that I have used during this tutorial is available on my website, slimandstylish.com. If you go up to the header and click buy. This set is the Ornate style. The Hello comes from Good Morning Magnolia, which is actually a 2-part set, so there's more stamps in this set. And then, yeah, the blends, pimento ink, and my glue, and that's pretty much my card done. All right, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all soon. If you've liked the video, do subscribe. Bye.